Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing a very interesting topic with BN Shanta Maharaj from Chaitanya Saraswat Math. We'll be discussing about consciousness, relationship between consciousness and mind, what is soul, aspects of soul, guru. In this 10 minutes, this is the part 1 video of part 3-part series. I had a conversation, question and answer with Shanta Maharaj. And very quickly about Shanta Maharaj, he is a graduate of science and technology background. He did his mechanical engineering from Utkal University. Then he did his postgraduate from fluid and thermal science, and then from IIT Guwahati, and then he did his PhD in coastal hydrodynamics from the Ocean Engineering Department of IIT Kharagpur. So, so he explains, I think, quite nicely the relationship. He brings the scientific aspects, and he explains certain spiritual aspects and very nicely. So I hope you will stay till the end and enjoy the video. As I said, this is a part 1, and part 2, part 3 will also be coming soon. Once I've uploaded this in coming weeks, I'll be uploading part 2 and part 3. So also friends, if you haven't not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and comment and like. Please engage. If there's any questions, any queries, please do write, comment, and I will uh, forward them to BN Shanta Maharaj, and he will try to reply. Thank you. Take care. God bless.
So my first question is in discussion is, what is consciousness according to religion? And if we have to explain to them what is consciousness, how would you explain it?
It is the medium by which subject has a relationship with the object. Consciousness is the relationship by which a subject can have a relationship with the object. Otherwise, without consciousness, a subject cannot relate to object. Means to have an object, for subject to have an object, it need that awareness, that consciousness. So it is the platform of attachment, you can say, that subject is attached to a particular object. So based on that, you can know what type of consciousness it is, based on its objects. What
Can you give an
objects?
example, Maharaj, just to understand it better?
Yes, the consciousness is also represented in this material world. You can find a clear distinction between conscious objects and the objects that are not conscious, inanimate and animate objects. Like for example, you throw a stone and it follows the law. And it does not violate the law that we have in science, like law of motion. You throw a stone at particular angle with certain force, then you apply all the the conservation of momentum principle and the friction of the air and all those things. Then it can give you a rough estimation where the stone will fall. But if you release a living bird, hmm, then you cannot apply that law there, because the conscious objects have a self determination. The self determination, they violate the law. Hmm. That means spontaneity is one of the nature of the conscious objects. Spontaneity that you not find in inanimate objects. So in that way you can discriminate. If you drop a inert particle in the fluid column, it will follow Brownian motion. But if you drop a bacterium in the fluid column, it will have its own motion, where it wants to go. If you roll a marble down the slope, if it finds an obstacle, it just bump and go some other direction mechanically. But if an ant is sliding down the slope and finds an obstacle, then it will look into it. What is this obstacle? And it will find out its own direction where it wants to make. So that cannot be determined by any laws in modern science. And in other words, modern science is only studying the inanimate objects, dead objects. It is not studying anything about the conscious entities. So that's why it is materialistic science at present. So when they look into the nature of the conscious objects, then it can be spiritualized. That's why we have started a conference called Science and Scientist. Scientists can explain science, all these laws, Newton's law, Charles' law, but can those laws explain scientist who is conscious? That question we are asking. That my Shiksha Gurudev, Om Vishnu Vasila Bhakti Madhav Puri Maharaj, who is also a quantum chemist, Dr. Michael Marchetti. So he has this vision to have this conference so that they can be redirected towards conscious or living entities instead of only giving so much emphasis to matter. You cannot find solution to life in matter. Life solution can only be found in living reality, not in dead reality.
Right. But Maharaj, one thing could be someone can ask us that, or somebody can ask that consciousness is just conditioning of the mind. Can we, in sense that the they feel that there's nothing called consciousness. It's just a conditioning of your society, your mind, your education. So how would we? What I'm trying to ask you is that to establish a difference between consciousness and, for example, in terms of our body.
I missed your last sentence because there was some network problem. Can
Oh,
you
sorry,
repeat
Maharaj. So
again?
what I'm trying to say to you is, someone can say that consciousness is nothing but a conditioning of your mind, your habits, your society, your education, where you born. So is
Hmm.
this something, so when we die, the consciousness actually dies with it. The so-called consciousness actually dies with it. It like there this is it stays with the body and it dies with the body.
Okay, so how they are getting that conditioning, that conclusion that they are giving, that is also subject to conditioning, right? It is the conditioning of mind. How you know? You are conditioned to have that statement. Of course, to give a statement like that, also you are conditioned actually. How can you free yourself from any conditioning? A child, when you take birth, child has to be trained. Child has to be trained how to eat, how to behave, how to relate to the society. Everything has to be taught. If the child is left with the help of a robot, which will only give the food and medicine to make the child grow without any subjective training that is necessary to be a suitable member of the society, then that type of adult will not be suitable for the society. He will be like an animal actually. It cannot. He cannot relate. He or she cannot relate to the society. Cannot relate actually. So yes, we have to be trained. Otherwise, we don't know what is what. So from where we are getting training, the qualification of that person is also very very important. So we want to get only trained by some one blind person is training another blind person. Uh, One blind cannot guide another blind. So that's why in our Vedic science we give emphasis to the concept of guru, the spiritual master, who can open our eyes to see things what is what. And that guru cannot be a person of by his own. That guru must be dependent on another guru, and that another guru must be dependent on another guru. In like that, there is unbroken chain must be connected to supreme. That is known as guru parampara system. To avoid any kinds of contamination, that's why the guru parampara system is explained. Not some man-made spirituality, man-made religion. No, dharmastu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The religion is established by God, and consciousness is not a conditioning of mind. How you know there is mind? You are conscious, that's why you know there is mind.
No,
Otherwise, how you
mind is
know? A
brain, isn't
rock,
it?
a
For them,
rock, a
yes.
rock, a rock, rock. How I know there is mind? A rock cannot know there is mind.
Mm,
How you know there is mind? What is the color of mind?
yes.
What is the taste of mind? How you know there is mind? You say there is mind, right? What is the
Yes.
mind? that itself.
Well, for them,
If you
it's
have,
the
if you have
brain.
my
It is just the brain, isn't it? The physical brain.
brain,
The physical brain.
brain. But what about plant? Plant don't have brain. What about plant? But do you think that
Hmm.
plant don't have mind? Plant don't have feelings. They have studied even in plants, and they experienced. Plants also display all these, subjective feelings. There are experiments. For example, I think there is a scientist called Mancuso from Germany. He did an experiment with the plants. Uh, he put the pots where you grow the plants, the pots where you put the soil and
Yes,
you
Maharaj.
plant the. Then what he did, he cut the root of a tree, and when you cut, there are branching of the root. Then one branch he put into one pot, and another branch in another pot, so that the pots are connected through roots in the tree. He put in such a way, and he grown a series of pots where all trees are connected through roots in different pots. So he was equally watering all the pots for some time, and all plants were displaying nice healthy symptoms. Then what he has done, leaving 15 plants well watered, another five pots, he created a drought condition, not watered, a drought condition. Then you know how plant display symptoms when it is drought condition. So what happened? Not only the plants in those five pots displayed the drought symptom, but all other plants they also displayed the drought symptoms. So from there he concluded even plants they communicate information, they communicate with each other. Are you there, Dhruvananda? Yes.
Yes, yes, I'm here, Maharaj. I'm listening. Yes.
Okay, so they also communicate information. They have mind, so there is no brain. What about bacterium? Bacterium don't have brain. It is single cell organism, and yet the bacterium it has choice. If you supply glucose and lactose, it will select glucose, and then after glucose is completely finished in that mixture of glucose and lactose, then it will have a pause for some time. Then it starts converting lactose into glucose and starts eating. If it is just a chemical reaction, it could have started reacting even lactose before, and started converting into glucose, but it does not do like that. And then it has a it commits suicide for the interest of the colony. It has a group identity, the individual identity. They have cooperations. If you supply more food, they will eat in a certain way. If you supply less food, then they will cooperate with each other. So all these behaviors are found even in bacterium. So do you think they don't have mind?
They have
James
very,
S. Shapiro.
very basic.
James S. Shapiro. Yes.
Yes, Maharaj, yeah, of course, they have, we can call it mind, intelligence, or life, but very
Mhm.
basic. They are basic structures of life. Yes, of course.
So it is not the product of brain. Mind is not product of brain. They are
Very.
conditioned. They are conditioned by their what you can say brainwashed. Actually, they are brainwashed by this so-called what you can say rational atheist or whatever they are saying. But they don't have any real rationality what they're talking about. In front of them, you see all these things are happening, the plants, the bacterium, and even I want to ask this question: how even the organism grows? You see, organism first brain does not develop. The brain has
Yes,
all
Maharaj.
control. It first developed with a single cell, and from the cell zygote, and all these organs are manifesting: brain, heart, kidney, everything. So without any consciousness, those things are developing. The consciousness is there before even brain formed. Otherwise, how it is developing? We don't find any such system exist in this world where it starts from some headlight of the bicycle and the whole bicycle comes up, or from the pedal the whole bicycle comes up. No, but we find in the organism from one cell the whole thing is forming. The consciousness is there already in that fertilized egg. Already consciousness is there in that.
The difficulty is, Maharaj, what you say is absolutely correct. The difficulty is is that because we are trained in such a way, we want to see the proof of everything. If there's no data, if there's no fact, if you cannot be shown to somebody, or for them, that's where the limitation for them is, because we are trained in such a way that not to accept anything which cannot
What
be
is the
shown.
data they have to support? What is the data they have to support that brain produces consciousness? Cut the brain or cut the head of a person and put it on the robot. You see if the robot become conscious. It's all nonsense, bogus actually. Cut the head of a goat and put on a goat robot. You see will the goat robot become conscious? Nonsense what they're talking about. There no evidence. They have no
And
evidence. They're just based on some faith. They're deluding everybody. They don't have any evidence also.
right,
We are
Maharaj, it's
saying so
true.
many evidence in the plant and bacteria. What evidence they have? Let them produce some consciousness by putting the brain or head on something and produce consciousness. Let's see if they can do that.
Or produce life, Maharaj, for that matter. Produce something which is life, which is
Of course, life is beyond their capability, and life always comes from life. Hmm? Life does not come from some laboratory chemicals. They start with chemicals, they end up with chemicals. Do you see any living organism? And the parents are, the periodic table elements, hydrogen, oxygen, beryllium, boron, all these things. No, they are
yes,
not.
Maharaj.
They cannot produce.
And Maharaj, according to Vedic philosophy, then what is? I
Mhm.
mean, if I can I use consciousness and life as interchangeable terms, or they are? You think the two different things? How would you want to
Actually,
classify?
consciousness is the symptom of existence of the soul.
Wonderful, Maharaj. Very nice.
It is
Yes.
empirical symptom. As I told, the conscious entities they have spontaneous movement. They violate the laws of nature, which are conditioned by the laws of nature, the inanimate objects. But life violates that. The
So
conscious
consciousness
entities,
is actually the
consciousness,
symptom of
conscious
life.
entity, no,
Yes.
symptom of the soul.
Soul.
Life,
Okay.
life has different principle. There is material life and there is spiritual life. Material life is the concept based on body. Hmm. That's why the bodily concept of life is based on creation, maintenance, destruction. Sushti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Anabolism, metabolism, catabolism. Hmm. So, but spiritual principle of life based on soul, right? So,
Yeah.
soul has three aspects: Sat, Chit, Ananda. Eternity, consciousness, Chit, or knowledge, and joy. We all look for eternal life, right? Don't nobody wants to die. That is our nature, and we all are looking for some knowledge, some understanding, knowing beings, conscious entities, and we are looking for happiness. That is our nature, but forgetting our true nature. Nature means dharma, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Religion. Nature means religion. Dharma is religion, right? Dharma. Dharma means nature. So your
Correct.
nature is that Satchit Ananda. But forgetting your real nature, you are engaged in something which is not your real nature. That means bodily consciousness, creation, maintenance, destruction, and thus you are suffering because of that misconception. So, religion is meant to help you establish in your true nature. Dharma means nature. The dharma of water is to flow, dharma of fire is to burn. So, dharma of the jiva is to engage in the service of the Supreme. No? And by engaging oneself in the service of the Supreme, then you also attain your true nature. Supreme is Satchitananda, and you also attain that nature. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadi Radir Govinda Sarvakami Karana. So when you engage in that Satchitananda and the Supreme's service, then you also become eternal. You will also become conscious of your real nature and the Supreme everything. And also you will be joyful by establishing in your true self.
And Maharaj, if I may say so, that's why no matter where you're born, wherever we are all looking for happiness. We have this innate desire within us, looking for joy. Everybody, no matter where they are, what religion, culture they have, But this desire of being happy, being joyful, looking for happiness, it's common. So what I'm understanding from you is that this is that desire is coming from our innate dharma, because that is our dharma to find happiness, to find joy. And we look in the material world, and which yeah, as we know, is all temporary. Am I right, Maharaj?
Yes, you are trying to go against your nature, dharma. Huh? You are trying to find solution for life in non-life, in matter. That is against your nature. And then
Wonderful,
that's
Maharaj.
adharma. That is
Yes,
adharma. You are
fantastic, very nice.
practicing adharma.
Yes,
So on the name of religion, if you are going against your nature, then that is adharma. So religion, true religion, supposed to help you establish in your true nature. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told when Sanatana Goswami asked, Ke ami, who am I? And Mahaprabhu told, Jivera Swarupa hoy Krishnero Nityadas. Your true nature is that you are eternal servant of the Supreme. That's your nature. But you forget your real nature. And
yes, Maharaj.
then you're trying to serve so many things, no? You are trying to serve your boss who is giving you salary. You are trying to serve your bodily parents. You are trying to serve your country like that. But you see, your age may be 50 years, but 55 years back you were not existing in this body. And after 100 years, you may not exist in this body. So your body is constantly changing like a flux, like water in the river. It's constantly changing. So your identity cannot be this body, obviously. Modern science also says the chemical constituents of your body changes every 7 years or so. That means you are something transcendental to this body, this material body. And what's your identity? And what's its nature? All these things are not studied in modern science, modern education system. They're only studying against their true nature. That is the cause of their suffering.
Cause of the sun. Maharaj, so this uh, jiva, or if I can call it soul or atma. So I know these are big questions: the where we come from, where we going, why we are here. Maybe this will keep it for another day, but I think I've got the gist. So, are you saying this and this life, or not life, I would call it this ajiva, is does it? I know that it doesn't, because I've read Bhagavad Gita, but for people who say, oh, this doesn't exist, how we can experience it, Maharaj? How is it possible to, is it possible to experience this, Maharaj, ourselves?
Yes, yes. You see that the consciousness is the empirical symptom of existence of the soul. Huh? You don't find a consciousness in the inanimate objects, but you find consciousness in the animated objects. So from there you get some symptom like you know there is sun from sun rays. You don't see directly sun, and yet when the sun rays are coming into your room, you say yes, sun is there. You feel like that. Same way, you may not able to see soul directly or experience soul directly, but you experience consciousness. From there, you
Yes.
know that there is something soul exists.
Yes, Maharaj. And also, of course, the soul is not a subject of senses. We cannot experience through senses. Am I correct, Maharaj?
Yes, you don't
Through the
experience
growth.
so many things by so many things with senses. Like for example, you are angry, you cannot experience it with senses. Can you find the color of the anger? The taste of the anger, the smell of the anger. But you know there is anger exists, isn't it? So knowing things from senses is something like thinking that like a baby. A baby wants to know everything by putting in the mouth, but it is. So a grown-up person, he understand things more developed way. Like for example, I give this example: in a glass of water, you put a straw, or a stick, and you see it is looking like bent.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hmm? So do you think it is bent just because you are seeing it? No. Then you want to
Of
touch
course.
it. No, no,
Yeah.
I'm touching it. It's straight. So touching is higher than seeing. Then if you keep your hand on a hot bath, then normal water also looks like it is very cold. What experience you will accept? Hmm? So the senses, they have to be guided with proper state of mind, and mind has to be guided with proper state of intelligence, and intelligence has to be guided with proper state of ego, and ego has to be guided with the higher principle like a soul and super soul, Bhagavan, all these things. So there is
Right.
a layer by layer you have to upgrade your source of understanding.